Hi, Sally.
Hey, Tyler. Hi, listeners.
Hi, listeners.
Welcome to A Year Ago Today. It's our podcast.
Our podcast. Oh, boy. I'm so excited.
I know, me too. What's the best thing that's happened to you since we last recorded, which was 24 hours ago?
So much good stuff has happened. I've had some huge, epic downloads around my work, so that's exciting. But I think, the most fun and exciting thing is last night, Matt had a friend over, his friend Sebastian. They were playing Mario Kart, and I wanted to, hang out with them, but I didn't want to play Mario Kart, you know? Mm-hmm. So I was, sitting on the couch, and I decided to download that game that you were talking about, that Oprah game. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And it's a cross between Candy Crush and Jeopardy! Or not Jeopardy. Candy Crush and Wheel of Fortune. Yeah. The one where you have to solve the puzzles. So right. I was getting really into it, and I had done, it's addicting. So I had done however many, 8 levels or whatever. And then this screen pops up with this little green triangle, and it says growth complete, and it's raining green glitter down, and I was like, oh my god. And I immediately thought of Sonia and that episode and how we kept being like, where's my glitter? And it's no one's ever going to tell you, good job, your growth is complete. But that came up on my phone, and I was like, this is the best thing that's ever happened. And the feeling inside me was just was yes, I nailed it. My growth is done. And then it's I don't actually want my growth to be done, but anyway, so I was playing that Oprah game, and that happened, and I was like, this is the best thing ever.
That's pretty good stuff.
Also, Matt and I just had some homemade hot chocolate, and we were sitting in the living room having hot chocolate and looking at the Christmas tree and eating cookies. So
that's delicious.
That was a really, really, really great thing that happened.
Oh, what's
the best thing that's happened? Oh, sorry, I'm talking over you.
That's okay.
Yes, it's all good stuff. Thank you. What about you?
The best thing that's happened to me is I had a really lovely evening last night. I went to 2 back-to-back yoga classes with my favorite teacher. Every time she teaches back-to-back, I go to both because I am obsessed with her and I want to be her friend.
Why don't you just tell her that?
We'll see. I don't know. I get really nervous in front of her.
Oh, why?
I don't know. I just want her to be my friend so badly.
Oh my god, you're so cute.
So yes, I did that, and then I came home and I whatever. I had food and stuff, and then I was like, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm going to watch Home Alone because we had just released our holiday episode. So I was still thinking about all the music and the movies, and so I watched Home Alone, and it is the best movie.
Oh my god, I think you should say what you told me about how sweet he is. What was the thing he said?
Oh my god, he's so sweet. I was freaking out because in the part where he's saying his prayer before his meal, I had paid attention to the part where he's whatever, thank you for this dinner, or bless this dinner or whatever. But he says something bless this microwavable macaroni and cheese dinner, and the people who sold it on sale or something like that. And I was like, that is the cutest thing I've ever heard. You're such a sweetheart. It was too good. I was like, this is the best. This is just the best.
Kevin is a really sweet kid. And every time I watch that movie, I mean, maybe I should watch it again because I've been trying to release judgment, but I always look at the mom and I'm like, she is the worst mom ever.
I mean, it's a pretty, when it came to the end, I was like, this was not written by a woman, which it wasn't. It was written by John Hughes, but it was really funny because it's she's just she is the worst mom, but I think it's because it was written by not a mom. Because I'm no woman, I would be sobbing by the time
act that way.
Yeah, and by the time that she's reunited with Kevin, I would be sobbing, but she's just oh, I'm so happy.
Yeah, so that's not how it would be. A little bit more emotionally fraught.
Yeah, but she does.
Well, and
have,
she's
some
just
of the
angry
things.
And annoyed the whole movie. And I guess you could be well, that's her panic manifesting. Blah blah blah. Anyway, we're not here to talk about her.
No, we're not.
Oh my gosh, so I'm so excited to have our guest today because I'm so obsessed with her. Oh my god.
Oh boy. We're both just like taking deep breaths.
I know.
She's just waiting in the wings like, all right, you guys need to calm down.
Oh my gosh. So our guest this week is Katelyn Edgar. Hi, Katelyn.
Hello.
Oh my goodness. All right. So for a little bit of context, Katelyn is a powerhouse intuitive coach, and I have been working with her since January of 2016 inside of a program that she created called Angels of Intuition. So that's just to give you a little bit of context on who she is. So, but before we dive in, Katelyn, I want to invite you to close your eyes and take a deep breath and start feeling into where you were a year ago today. And when you get really grounded and centered in that energy, let us know in one word how you were feeling.
You know that one word is always the hardest thing for me, right?
I know, but I believe in you. You could have a lot more words later. It's just one word to start.
I was feeling excited.
Mm. Yay!
Mm-hmm.
So 1 year ago today, Katelyn was beginning a 4-day giveaway. Was it via Facebook?
Yeah, it was maybe 5 days.
Like a 4 or 5 day giveaway in honor of celebration of her birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So tell us, why did you decide, what is it about your birthday that made you want to give stuff away?
Great question. Well, first off, birthdays are the best ever. Like, someone has a birthday, like, everything needs to stop. And everyone needs to celebrate the birthday. I love birthdays. Like, they're my favorite. They are my favorite. Mm. My birthday is one of the best days ever. And I was super excited to be able to give some of that, like, birthday energy out to my community. So that's why I was feeling really excited. And yeah, I'll stop there. I feel like you have another question.
Yeah, I was going to ask, what kind of things were you giving away?
Yeah, so I was giving away, oh yeah, this is fun. I was giving away, okay, so every day leading up to my birthday, I had like a different giveaway. So the first one was, I was giving away a channeled message from your angels and guides, and I think I was giving like a few of those. So not like an in-person session, but like a channeled message that I would type up and give to the winners. So that was like the first day. The second day, I was giving, I think, like a really, really big discount on my Meet Your Spirit Team sessions, like a huge discount. And I was giving up to like 3 of those. Plus, I was giving away a crystal bracelet that I created. So that was really exciting. And then I feel like, and then the fourth or the third day was another day of giving away channeled messages. Those are so much fun to give. Mm-hmm. Like, who doesn't want one of those, right? Mm-hmm. And then on the last day, I was giving away 3 sessions with me, one-on-one sessions. So that was really exciting. That's what I knew of at the time anyways. That was like as far as my known plan went.
Mm-hmm. And, well, so tell us what happened.
So much magic happened. So, so I think we need to back up a little bit. Can we go like back a few months to kind of catch people up to like where things had been for me?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, take us wherever you want to take us.
Okay.
I trust you with my life.
All right. So let's go back to like September or October-ish area. So I was doing a launch for my business, and I was doing one-on-one work at that time. And I had gotten some new clients, but not as many as I had wanted. And I was feeling confused and discouraged. And I needed to go through a big like healing phase within myself. So I was doing that work that I needed to do, and that lingered on all the way through October, November, and right into December. I was kind of like, hey, I don't know what's going on with my business. Like, I'd already been, had a good amount of success. I've helped a lot of people. And for some reason, I wasn't connecting with the people who I was meant to be supporting. And so I was feeling a lot of feels around that. So then what ended up happening is I came up with this idea that I was going to do this birthday giveaway. I was kind of detached from the idea of, getting clients or anything. I was just pretty stoked on having an awesome birthday and giving away some of that energy that was coming through and all the gifts, because it's so much fun. So then when I get into like the second day of the giveaway, so like the 17th of December, so 2 days before my birthday, I was in meditation in the morning, and I got this very clear guidance and download that I'm supposed to actually create a group program. And it's supposed to have a retreat, which I had never done before. And it's supposed to be this like really intimate, very special experience for all of these women who would maybe be one-on-one clients, but were actually supposed to be working with me in this like very magical group container, this sisterhood. So I was like freaking out. First off, I was like, oh my God, like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. That feels like a big deal. I've never done it before and all these things. But like at this point, I was kind of like, well, I'm just going to go with the flow, and like whatever guidance comes through, I'm going to take action on it. So I like reached out to my support system and kind of like checked in with my coach, and I was like, is this doable? She's like, yep. So I took a deep breath. I was like, can I actually do this thing? She's like, you were made for that. And yeah, okay, so then I feel like I need to like stop again and take a pause. So that was on the 17th. So I got the idea on the 17th, which was like scary, petrifying, but also like super, super exciting.
Yeah, so on the 15th, you decided you were going to give some stuff away because you're the best person in the world and you're, like, love doing stuff like that. It's so fun. So that was just, like, the 15th. And then the 17th, you have this huge, huge, huge inspiration. Okay.
Yeah, it was big. It was, like, it was a big amount of energy to come through. Mm-hmm. And all, like, at one moment.
So then what?
Okay, so then I started, like, okay, I don't know if, in case if anyone's not familiar with, like, if they don't have their own business or whatever. So to kind of like make up a program and go through like the pricing and the numbers and all of this jazz, like in one day or like 2 days, it's almost like reworking the whole business plan. So I kind of like went to work to figure out like, how do I need to make this happen? Like kind of like the more practical side of things. And then I kept playing with all the people in my group that I was giving these gifts away and like having a lot of fun with all of that. 18th came around and I kind of put the idea out there. I was like, hey, just curious, would anyone really, really love this amazing sisterhood with this retreat? And like, you're going to learn all these magical things like channeling angels and guides and becoming a coach and all this stuff. And I put that out there. And I got such a huge response. Like people were like, oh my God, like this is what I've been dreaming of. Tell me more, tell me more. And I was kind of like, holy shit. I was like, whoever was around me was like, holy shit, you guys, this is happening, And I actually felt this really wild moment. I was in a coffee shop where like this wave of energy came through me, and it literally, this might sound freaky, but it's not. This is actually what happened. It literally shifted me from one reality into another. It was like hopping universes, like into a parallel universe where it was like, boom, okay, I'm no longer in the universe where this is a maybe or a possibility. This is already done and it's happening. Mm-hmm. It was like a full body knowing,
Yeah, I know.
It's so powerful.
I know. That keeps happening to me and it's blowing my mind.
It's amazing. And it's so exciting because then you're like, oh shit, it's really going down.
Wait,
like,
can I tell you that
for reals.
I had a moment like that today?
Ooh.
Tell me more.
I mean, so I've been having these, I think both of you know already, but I don't know if I've said it on the podcast. I've been having these flashes of inspiration, and it's not just, I don't want to minimize it. What's happening is I'm going from having like a very distant theoretical understanding of concepts around the law of attraction and around the way energy works to like having a deep internalized understanding. But it keeps happening to me over and over and over and over. And I have been sending myself text messages and recording voice memos. And it's my intention to like put all of that together at some point. And it's like, I don't know yet what the thing I'm building is. But it's definitely something. Mm-hmm. And it comes through so strongly and so powerfully that it like, you know, like makes my heart beat fast, and it makes me like need to hold on to something so I don't fall over. And the other day that was happening on the train, and Matt was next to me, and he looked at me and he goes, "You know, it's a book, right?" And I was like, "What?" And he goes, "All of those texts you're sending yourself and voice memos you keep recording, it's a book." And so that was really cool, because to see him stand in his knowing, which is new. So that was really fun. And then today we were on the train again, and something came through, and I was texting myself, but I was hearing myself say it in my head at the same time. And I was like, the energy behind like the vocal delivery of this is also really important. And I was feeling the book, and then all of a sudden this other energy just came like zooming into my body, and I was like, oh my God, it's a book and it's a talk. Like, I don't know if it's like a TED Talk or like I don't know, but I like felt myself somewhere on stage giving this talk. And it was just like, I felt it. I was like, this, it's not even, like you said, it's not even like, oh, maybe I'll do this someday. I was like, no, this is happening in some reality somewhere right now, because I can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
I know. That's what happened to me today.
That's great.
I got full body chills when you were saying that.
It's amazing. It's like, I don't know. You talk about that knowing. And I'm just finding more and more that it's like a bodily thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I feel like it happens like, it's like this tipping point. It's like, speaking of like the law of attraction, and like, you know, if we're going into like the energetics of it, it's like we're working through these like beliefs and layers of energy that are, you know, not aligned with this vision, this reality. And then all of a sudden there's like this tipping point where it's like, whoop, and it's just like, whoa, it's happening, you know? And it starts in the body.
It starts in the body. And one other thing I really wanted to call attention to is that for me, it also often is very closely tied to giving. And, you know, you were in a space where you were like, I want to just give some of this energy away. Mm-hmm. And then it's almost like the universe is like, oh, you want to give really incredible things to people? Well, here's something to give them. And then you're like, oh my God, I just received something so big, because you were so in that energy of wanting to deliver value. So you received something of even bigger value so that you can give it away.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a really profound insight, Tyla. I don't know that I've ever heard that in that way before.
Well, I've never thought of that in that way before. If we were together right now, I would literally take a little bow.
Oh, dear.
So good.
Yeah, it is so good. And it's like, I'm thinking about that energy of giving with no attachment. Like pure giving. Because that's sometimes I've had these kind of huge receiving moments when it's like, I've given something away, and I've even had that ego thought come in. It's like, are you really about to give this away? Mm. And then when I decide yes, it's like I turn around and receive something even bigger almost immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy.
Life's magical.
So you were in a coffee shop when you jumped from one reality to another one, and then what happened in that moment right afterward?
I kept drinking my tea.
You were like, I'm gonna play it real cool.
I kept drinking my tea and going through the numbers, like, what do I need to charge for this? Because it was a new offering, right? I was going to have to figure out some things. But the real exciting moment was the next day, my birthday, which, okay, So it's important to say that I was at Sparkling Hill for my birthday, and yes, that's a real place. Sparkling Hill.
Not only is it a real place, but you're going there for this year on your birthday again.
I am. I try to go there every year on my birthday. It's just the most magical place ever.
If there's one thing you need to know like what kind of person Katelyn is that she makes it a priority to go to a place called Sparkling Hill on her birthday.
Oh my God. Do you know Swarovski crystals? Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you said it right, but I know what that
You know what I mean? I've been trying to get the wording for or the
It's like one of those words that I never say out loud.
Swarovski.
Because it is? Okay.
It's like that what's that bridge or that subway stop in Manhattan? It's like Coscuzio or like
What?
I don't know, like see, it's like one of those words that you don't know how to say, so you never say it out loud. Anyway, moving on. Sparkling Hill.
The whole place is covered with those crystals. Like the owner of Swarovski owns this place.
Oh, wow.
It's like this amazing place. It's like a European spa with like this, like, I don't know, like 7 or 8 different saunas and like steam rooms and like cold showers. It's like pure magic right up on this
go there.
mountain. Oh my gosh, we have to go together. I think that one day I'm going to actually do an event there.
Ooh.
So you'll be the first to know, obviously.
Yay!
Anyways, so I'm at Sparkling Hill, and it's my birthday, and I'm like, okay, today's the day. I'm gonna like share this, epic new offering that I've pieced together, which is like, in my eyes, like the most dreamiest thing that anyone could ever be a part of and partake in. And so I'm going into my group, and I'm like, guess what? These are the 3 winners, and FYI, dun 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 dun, here's Angels of Intuition. This is like the new thing, and this is who this is for, and I'm so excited. And all of a sudden, like, applications started coming in, and not just like 1 application or 2 applications. There was 29 applications.
So good.
Like in the first day?
No, not in the first day. That's in total. So, but the whole launch took because it was December 19th, right? So that's when we started, and then it was Christmas. So I kind of had I would say about half of them came kind of before Christmas, and the other half happened like after Christmas within the first week of January. And then I had cutoffs for applications. And so kind of like in those 2 windows, and I was only planning to make this for like between 4 and 6 people. It ended up being 7 because, well, the people were, that's what it was supposed to be. Mm-hmm. But so talk about magic. Like there I was going for months, not knowing what the heck was going on, kind of going through my own journey in the darkness, like having my breakdowns, crying to my man, being like, what's going on? Like, I don't understand, like, I don't get it, all that stuff. Moving through the things, feeling the feels, all the haps. And then all of a sudden, on my birthday, God gives me this, like, epic gift. I end up connecting with literally the most beautiful people in the whole world, in my opinion, 7 angels who I get to support and take to Mexico for a retreat and spend this incredible year. I didn't even know that was on my radar. I didn't even realize that was an option for me. And it all came through so quick. Like things just clicked into place so perfectly. So that's the magic. That's the whole thing. And like literally, it's the best thing that's ever happened to me. That's a big statement, but that's how much I love this program, and that's how magical it is to me. That's how fulfilling it is for me.
I'm so excited we're having this conversation today, because I've been in that place with my business where it's like, okay, it's time for me to know what I'm doing now, and feeling a little frustrated that I still don't. But lately I've been getting more clarity around around the fact that everything is exactly how it's supposed to be. You know?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I see what's happening here. I see the way that I'm having to learn, like, to get acquainted with this business, like, a tiny piece at a time, because that's what I'm going to be teaching people to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh, okay, well, now this makes total sense, and now I can just be excited about it instead of, like, sitting there wondering when my program is going to, like, be delivered to me on a silver platter, you know?
Oh, boy.
It's like it is being delivered on a silver platter right now. It's just like,
lot of
calm
silver
down
platters.
so you can realize that. Yeah, many, many silver platters. And isn't that even more fun? I just get to keep receiving, like, over and over and over.
Yeah.
Because every time it's, like, so epic that probably all three of us are literally jumping up and down squealing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every platter is that good.
Well, you know what's really interesting, and I would actually love to know if this came up in your experience at all, is like sometimes now when I'm having these epic downloads around my business or around what I'm meant to share in the world, it's like I get so excited and then I immediately have the impulse to try to like capture them, to try to like write them down. And I've really, really been making it a practice to like fight that impulse a little bit and to like take a deep breath in and breathe out and relax and be like, even if I don't write this down right now, it's not going anywhere. And I guess I'm wondering if you had to do any of that like kind of conscious relaxing and releasing as you were birthing this program.
You know what? I think that I do that to keep myself grounded. But actually, I've found that when I take action right then and there, in that moment, when the energy is peaking like that, when the inspiration comes through, that's the best way for me. Like, for example, yesterday morning, same thing, in my sadhana, just like Angels of Intuition, actually, it's funny. I was meditating, and all of a sudden I got this very clear download that I need to do this full moon ceremony for the people in my Facebook group. And I grabbed my pen and paper and I started writing down the ideas that were coming right away. And I think that really helped me to ground what was coming through. And I really appreciate what you're saying too. I think that's important. I did go back into my meditation afterwards before I hopped on Facebook and let everyone know. But for me, if I don't start moving with, it's almost like the wave is coming and I need to either hop on it or I miss it. And that's okay because another wave will come again. But I found that the way that I work with creation is really if I can hop on that wave and write things down and make things happen while it's really, really potent, that's when my biggest shifts take place. But I think that I'm curious, let me know. The big thing about what I'm hearing from what you're saying is the piece around, it's not like you're going to miss out on something. And you can integrate the energy that's coming in, like simply by holding space for it to integrate into yourself.
Right. So for me, it's about like, I guess it's a little bit, I like the image of waves. So it's a little bit like, if this wave isn't quite right, like if you're a little bit too far ahead of it, or, you know, like, I don't know if you've actually surfed, but it's like, sometimes there'll be a wave coming behind you and it'll pick you up a little bit and then you'll be like, oh, this isn't the one, you know? Right. And you're like, to trust that it's okay, that you don't have to try to wave that's not quite the right wave because another one's coming. And I think for me, it's like, sometimes if I jump to take action, I miss the next wave, but I've realized that when I've done that, when I've relaxed in the moment and be like, I don't have to write this down right this second, it's that then I'll stay, and often the next train of thought that I have that is related to the choice not to write it down is an even bigger awareness. Do you know what I mean? So it's like in trusting myself that there's like more coming, and that I don't have to move right now or I'm going to lose the inspiration, I end up receiving more inspiration. But I've had this tendency in the past to really try to grab onto things like they're a lifeline. And so I'm trying to not trying to, I am learning to relax my grip a little and trust that even if I am not like having a vice grip on something, that it doesn't mean I don't have it.
Well, I think that's directly related to how you used to perceive your creativity, where you thought that you didn't have any. And so you had to remember, you had to reconnect with that part of you that was like, no, girl, you are like the most creative. And so I think it's like probably as you were settling into that was probably when you were like, oh my God, I need to grab all the ideas because I'm not a creative person, so they'll never come again. And now you're learning to integrate like with the reality of like, no, you're a creative person and ideas move and flow through you all the time. And so if you just like relax, then it's all good because you're going to have more insight. That's what I think.
Oh boy. I just got so excited.
Yeah, and that was like, that's a really big piece of, you know, the work that we did together this year, Tyler, like really around mastering our own unique manifestation process. I think we all have our own unique creative process, and coming into recognizing like the way that the energy flows through these cycles of creation is so powerful. And that's, I mean, that's one of my greatest passions.
Oh boy. Ah!
Because then it's like, okay, what do you want to create? You know, you really recognize there's nothing that you can't create as long as you really want it at a soul level.
Yeah, and when you know how the energy flows, you can relax and enjoy the process. You don't have to panic and be like, oh my God, something's wrong because I'm not receiving it right now. You can be like, oh, I know how this works. I usually receive things in waves.
Right.
And if it's in between waves, I don't need to worry because the waves never stop.
Yeah.
Oh, so much I found about
That's
the
good
creation process is about relaxing.
Yeah.
This is funny. Earlier today, I was having a session with Jordana, and we were talking about ideas and like sharing ideas because I went through this like vision thing to connect me to the soul of my business. And one of the things that was coming through in the vision of like my reality, or like what's supposed to be my reality, I mean, supposed to be, whatever. You both understand what I'm saying. It was like the free flow of ideas, and like when I get an idea, telling it to someone so that we can either, so we could either co-create it, or we could look at it and be like, that's not the idea. And then like set it aside. And that way it's like not too much or too little energy to any one thing, but just the right amount. So like really taking it out, looking at it, talking it through with someone, and then not necessarily deciding like, okay, well, we're going to do this now, but seeing what would come from it then. And what was coming through was that I used to do that, but then the idea wouldn't go through. And so I started to feel like a flake because I would be like, oh, that idea just fell apart. Nothing came of that. And then like releasing that and being like, well, that's okay because it was just an idea. I never decided that it had to be that thing the next day. It had to exist. So it's interesting that now we're having this conversation.
You just sent me a great idea right before we got on the phone.
Oh yeah, that like came through. That was like the incubator thing. Is that what you're talking about? I was like, I don't even know what I told you. But yeah, that came like at the end of our session where it was like very clearly seeing, because part of the vision that I was getting was this like community of women who were like working together and sharing ideas and collaborating constantly and like being like, oh, you know, like Tyler, you came to me with this idea, and Katelyn, you came to me with this idea, and you're both basically saying the same idea. You guys should connect. And like doing that sort of like connecting people and like whatever. And after I shared all of that with her, then, and I had also shared as part of it, like being in this like really sacred actual physical space. So it was like this really sacred space that could be like, we could have full moon circles in it, and then the next day it's like a boardroom, and then the day after that it's like a dance party, you know, whatever. So I was like talking about that, and then she at the end shared like, what was really coming through me as you were talking about all those things was like, UE, unmuted expression, is an incubator, or would like to be an incubator for these like magical source-based businesses where like you're providing services for them, but then also there is like a physical space where people can always come to, and that's part of what you're providing. And I was like, oh my God, this sounds like the most fun. It sounds like just pajama parties all the time.
Yeah, I'm immediately like, sign me up for that.
Like, yes. So yeah, that's fun.
Well, I want to come play.
Yeah.
What's so interesting is it was coming up for me, Katelyn, as you were talking, and no, it wasn't. It was coming up with Sally was talking, but it applies to the idea of sisterhood too, because I've had an experience. It's so funny. I just moved through this where someone had sent me a video. Well, Meredith, friend of the podcast, episode 4, had sent me a video, and I was going to turn her video into an article. I was going to not just transcribe the text, but, you know, like really rework it into a freestanding piece of writing. And the analogy that she had used in the video didn't work in writing because you couldn't see her. And it was like there was physical components to it. And immediately I had an understanding of an analogy that I was like, ooh, that's my analogy around this same thing to use later in my own work. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, ooh, I need to email her. And I want to tell her that, like, I can promise I'll never, like, quote unquote steal her stuff, but I can't promise that I won't be inspired and then go use that. And so I was, like, having this whole experience around what's mine versus what's hers. Mm-hmm. And then I went back to the writing, and I couldn't find the appropriate analogy to use in written form. And then I was like, you know what? I should just use the analogy that just came through. Mm-hmm. And then I had the voice inside my head be like, oh, but that's mine. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, oh my God, there's no such thing. We're all one. It's all source energy. I'm just going to use this. And I'm going to use this and give it to her and let her, like, put her name on it because I don't care. And it's so interesting, Sally, when you were talking about, like, if two people have similar business ideas, connecting them, I think that a real knee-jerk response that's so prevalent in our society would be like, oh, that's my idea. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so, like, creating a space where you can connect people, and it is that thing is like, you know what, in this work, which I think is just light work, and one of the easiest ways to, like, talk about it is, like, we're all light workers. There's no such thing as mine or yours. And Katelyn, the way I think that pertains here is that, like, that's been such a prevalent component of the Angels of Intuition sisterhood. It's like, mm-hmm. your growth is my growth. Mm-hmm. And if I have a huge awakening and I tell you about it and it spurs something huge for you and you need to go talk about that to your clients, like, that's 100% fine because we're all in this race together. There is no me versus you.
Yeah.
Totally. And you know what else too is having, like, in addition to that, I think such a big part of this movement that we're all a part of is feeling safe to say, I've got this trigger coming up. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's this fear for me that, like, I'm going to say, you know, share this thing and then I'm not going to have an idea for myself or whatever, you know, like mm-hmm. these thought patterns that are coming up for clearing as we move out of this old way of being, these right. old paradigms, right?
Because it's all, like, scarcity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, we're done. We're done. Like that mm-hmm. needs to be done. And so I have such honor for those of us who are willing to express and be so authentic and vulnerable and sharing as these things come up, because the moment that we do within that safe container, it's completely diminished. It's transmuted. It's gone, right? And then it's like, whoa, you open up to so much more. It's like what you were talking about earlier where when you give something and then all of a sudden it's like there's this space for so much more to come through to give.
Mm-hmm. One of the visual things that has really come through for me around the idea of sisterhood and being in a container of sisterhood is this idea of a relay race. And it's like we're all like doing a sprint and passing the baton. And then one of us gets to rest while someone else runs for a second. Yeah. And it's like, that's such a different way to look at it than being like, oh my God, this girl who's supposed to be my peer is running so much faster than I am and I'm going to fall behind. It's like, no, in a minute she's going to, you know, make the full lap and hand the baton to you and she's going to need to rest and it's going to be your turn.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Well, so Katelyn, it's been a year now.
Yeah.
What was the most surprising thing that came up for you this year related to Angels of Intuition?
You know what? I think the most surprising thing was how much everyone in the sisterhood loved and supported each other, like me not even included. Like there's the work that I was doing with everyone individually and as a group, which was like magical in and of itself, of course. But then to see like how everyone was with each other, taking like even when I wasn't around, was like, that's really what brought me to my knees. Like that was so beautiful, so touching. And even still, I mean, you know, everyone, those are lifelong friends. Those are lifelong relationships. I've never seen people support each other so profoundly and love each other so much and be so encouraging and so supportive and so incredible. Like that's the piece that really blew me away. Plus the retreat, but that's different. The retreat was really okay. See, now we're doing I have to choose one thing again.
You don't have to choose anything. You can have it all.
Thank you. Yeah, but that's I think that's the thing that comes though. Because that was, I've been in sisterhoods and they've always been so amazing, and each sisterhood holds its own magic and its own purpose for sure. And even still, I was shocked at how beautiful it actually was, how much you all loved each other and held each other and supported each other. And like, same thing like what you were saying with the baton, like one person's like not clear in this area or needs support on this day, and then there's like a whole group of people to uplift that person on that day, and everyone gets so taken care of.
Well, and it's so true. I've never had relationships like these.
Yeah. It's like amazing.
How does it feel to have been like the conduit for that?
It feels like an honor. It feels like a major, major privilege. And I think sometimes I actually need to really stop and recognize and honor myself for that, because I feel 100% that I'm a channel, that these gifts are coming through me. And I've done a lot of work on myself to get to this point. I have walked through a lot of fires. I have put in the time and done the shifts. You know, I've come a long way in my life. And so I think that that's also a part of my ability to create and hold the space that I do. And so I feel honored and I feel proud of myself.
I'm so glad that you're saying that, because someone listening to this out of context could very easily be like, well, yeah, it's easy for her. That was handed to her in meditation one day. And like, look, boom, bam, delivered. And and like, so nothing here applies to me. You know, like that's not how it works for me. And it would be really easy, because we are feeling really celebratory on this call, to discount like the years and years of work that you put in to prepare yourself as a vessel to receive that inspiration.
Well, but my immediate thought is like, you also, that is how it can work for you, regardless of how much crap. Because I think that like a story that I always had in my head was like, well, I haven't suffered enough. I haven't struggled enough to be like on the winning end of this. And that's something that I've been working to dismantle. And, you know, like, even with somebody like Katelyn, it could be really easy to be like, well, I never had a drug addiction, so, like, I don't know that I'm worthy of, like, creating this thing, and maybe my ideas aren't as awesome and valid because I've never been through this terrible thing. I've been through other things, but, like, not that. And, like, oh, maybe, like, my version of suffering and struggle isn't good enough. So I think it's like either way, you know, those ideas can come to you regardless of what your background is and regardless of what you've been through, if you simply honor them. They can come to you. You can sit down in meditation one day and be, like, blown away by this idea and just put it into action.
Well, and I think that what you're saying is also so gorgeous, and that there is a real gift here, like an actual gift in this moment for our listeners, is like, I've called out this thing, which is that it could appear that Katelyn sat down one day and without any effort at all just received this amazing thing. And then I've also called out that that's not the whole truth, and that there was a lot that went into that. And it would just be really a gorgeous opportunity for everybody listening to feel into what actually comes up for you individually when you are reacting to the things that we've been talking about, because it's a really good indicator. If you're like, oh, well, it's easy for her, then that's something that you are invited to look more deeply at, you know? Or if you're being like, oh, well, I haven't suffered, so I'm not preparing my vessel in the way I need to prepare it to receive something like that, like, maybe that's an entry point for you to look at and do some healing, because inspiration can come and we can receive it in so many different ways. And all you have to do is open wide enough to let it in. So, I mean, not to get all like, here's a teaching moment, but I do think that there is some very potent energy available right here, right now, if you've been feeling a reaction to the things that we've been talking about.
I appreciate everything that was just said so much. And I think the one thing that's coming to me that I'd love to also add in is that it actually is having the experience of things being simple that we're all moving into. And so coming wherever you're coming from, it doesn't really matter. That is the new space that we're moving into. And it's not that you have to suffer, but you do have to move through whatever's causing the suffering and be lifted up out of that. And so, yeah, I'm not going to say too much more about that, but that felt important to say.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
That we're all coming into so many new thought patterns and new belief systems that we're choosing for ourselves to create a more and more beautiful reality to be in. And you're right, it doesn't really matter where you've come from, what your challenges have been, but I think what's happening for all of us that we can all relate to is that we're opening up to more grace, more flow, more guidance, more clarity, more all of these things. And we need to move from somewhere into that. And so wherever that from somewhere is doesn't really matter. And we can all relate on that level. And we're all moving into the same place, like in our own unique ways, but similar thought patterns.
Oh, I love it. Me too. I love it. And when one person does it, it just makes it easier for the next person because everyone's work benefits everyone else.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I've really been grounding out into that belief or into that knowing that, like, there's no jealousy. There's no jealousy. Your work benefits me.
Totally.
What else? What else?
Say more things. Sally, say something to us. I want to hear something from Sally.
I don't know. I'm just like in delight. I'm just like sitting here and just keep smiling and like moving my head back and forth like, this is so nice.
Oh my gosh. Well, I feel like I have a segue for us and you know, it's like, so you've created the sisterhood and it was, I mean, in my opinion, as a member of the sisterhood, it was like massively successful. And it would be really easy to just be like, okay, well, I'm going to just run the same program next year. So can you talk to us a little bit about that? and about what's actually happening?
Yeah. So I went into the idea of, coming into Angels of Intuition 2016, was ending in October, and I was preparing for filling up the next one, doing the businessy things, the visioning, the planning, the energetics, all that jazz, and came to a point where I was like, okay, I'm going to put this out there. Something feels a little off a little bit, but I knew that I needed to start taking action and making movement in order to come into the clarity that I needed to be in. So I put it out there into the world, and it's so funny. People were excited, but the people who were most excited were my current clients. However,
all of us are like, yes, everybody sign up.
They were like, I want to sign up again. But 2016 Angels of Intuition included a certificate for becoming an intuitive coach. So I was teaching that through the mastermind. And so that's what I was planning to do again for 2017. But the thing is I was feeling into what I really wanted, and what came to me, I was like, well, what I really would love is to keep working with these people. Like, these are my favorite people. Why would I not want to keep working with them? But there was this conflict happening because they didn't need that certificate anymore. Like, they'd moved past that. They were in a different place of their journey with their business, with their lives, with their spiritual connection and intuition and all of that. So I had put this offering out there and gotten this huge response, the biggest ones being from my current clients, and all of a sudden something clicked for me, and I was like, wait a minute. There's a reason why this is happening, and there's something's coming up. And a similar thing happened actually as soon as I was like, oh my God, I think what I need to do is separate the certification program from Angels of Intuition and have Angels of Intuition be this program for people who are more so at the level or in the space that, not level, but space that like my current clients are in. That's who I'd be really stoked to support through this program. So I ended up doing some refiguring out with that program. I added in an extra retreat. So I took out the certification, added in another retreat. So there's 2 retreats, which is like really exciting.
I can't even the retreat is always the best part, I feel like, of any program. Like any program, the retreat is where it's at. And our retreat for Angels of Intuition was so magical. And as soon as you were like, oh, there's going to be 2 next year, I was like, oh my God, whoever is in that program is so freaking lucky. So lucky.
Oh my God, I was so excited. And then I had a similar experience with, remember I was talking earlier at the coffee shop, the dimension jumping?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I had another experience like that, and I was like, oh snap, like here it is. Like I know why things were feeling off. And so then I started making the shifts. I had to do a bunch of like logistical things. Sally helped me to figure out my new copy, which was like, oh my God, such a gift, because me trying to write copy is like, you know what it makes me think of? When I was in grade 3 and my teacher had these crazy eyes. They would pop out of her head. I love this teacher. She's a beauty, but she was also really scary sometimes. And she would be like, do your homework, like do that homework. Like she used to call us pork chops.
Oh.
Wait, I coughed. What did you say? She used to call you what?
Pork chops. You little pork chops.
Okay, well, that's kind of cute.
It wasn't in the cute way though. It was scary.
Like, but come on, my little pork chops.
No. Like eyes bulging out of her head, chasing after us, pork chops. But I will actually say that she was also one of the most influential teachers of my whole life. So she kind of had 2 sides to her. I really loved that lady.
Some of the best teachers do.
I know. I get that. Anyway, it just gets better and better and better, doesn't it? Because what ended up happening is I relaunched Angels of Intuition with the new shifts. Intuitive Coaching School is going to be a different program that'll happen, next year sometime. I'm not sure yet. And 3 of the beauties from last year's Angels of Intuition are joining me again for this year's, plus other new people. And that's like, and we get 2 retreats. Like it, mind blown. Like how who comes up with this shit? Like, it's so good, you know? Like,
well, and I mean, to be very clear with everyone, I am doing it next year, Angels of Intuition 2017, and so is Sally. So, I mean, I think a lesson for me here is, like, and for anyone who has a business, what if your business really just involved you getting to spend a lot of time with clients who actually are your favorite people on the face of the planet? Like us getting to have you on the podcast today. Mm-hmm. Like, that's your reality. And you're making, I mean, more money than I've ever made yet.
Yet. Very big yet there.
I'm really clear that the money is coming my way right now, so.
Yeah, you know what? I think that the more that we tap into, like, what our gifts are, what actually brings us the most joy, like, what we really, really want, like, what would, you know, this is the word for me lately, delight. What would delight you?
Yeah.
Like, what would actually delight you?
Well, and I feel like, oh, go ahead.
As we tap into that, like, as we get into the energy of being delighted and passionate, like, well, what you were saying about the income, because I know money is something that so many people are so challenged with, but, like, it flows. It flows and it flows and it flows. It's as I've tapped into, like, what really lights me up, that the money's matched that frequency, like, that the money's poured in.
Well, what I was going to say is so interesting, because I feel like I've heard a million coaches say, like, think about in your business, like, what would really bring you pleasure, or, like, and I think that in the past, the place that my mind has gone is, like, what would bring me pleasure that I also can imagine being possible with what I currently understand as how business functions. Rather than, okay, what would really bring me pleasure regardless of whether or not I think it's possible and I could make money that way.
Yeah.
And then seeing what comes through.
I agree. I think that's so key, like, in starting to do whatever that thing is, because as you start to do it, the energy will start to open up, and you'll be shown what you don't know yet. You'll be shown what it is.
Yeah, it's like, just move toward the thing that excites you.
Yeah, like my birthday giveaway, I was, like, so excited. I was excited because I was going to be hanging out with people that I love. I was going to be sharing these fun gifts, like channeling messages and help. Like, I love that stuff. Like, that's so much fun for me. Giving presents away, that's, like, so fun. Getting presents is fun too, but giving is maybe even better.
Yeah. Sally loves giving presents.
I do.
Away.
I'm okay with receiving presents. I mean, that's great. It's just not one of my love languages, but gifting, oh my God, it's like the best thing.
It's so funny because whenever I send you something in the mail, I feel like you never even get excited, really.
I do. I mean, I like it. I love it. But, like, giving people gifts is just, like, about 100 times better than that.
I wonder if we can all open up to have as much pleasure and joy from receiving gifts as we do from giving them.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a juicy challenge. I really like it. I feel really confident in my ability to do that, too.
But you love getting gifts, Tyler.
Yeah, I want to love it even more so that I get more gifts.
I love it.
I love giving them, too. I think that I probably receive more pleasure from giving a gift than I do from receiving a gift. But it's not as fun when the person that you're giving the gift to doesn't get that much pleasure in receiving. Sorry. When I send you things in the mail.
Well, it's funny, too, because then, like, I guess this year really more than ever before, like, things will be delayed, or, like, they'll be sitting in the mailbox, or they'll be trapped in DHL, like when Katelyn sent me Tapping Into Wealth, but I couldn't get it for like another week and a half. So it is pretty funny. But I'm open. And I'm open.
And open.
Oh my goodness. Well, what else? What else is coming through for anyone?
That I love life.
I want to say something.
Great.
And this was coming up. I remember I shared my intention with you both before, but I want to share a little message of encouragement. Is that cool?
Yeah.
I really want to remind people that, and I'm sure that you know, everyone would have gotten this as they've been listening, but no matter where you're at with your creation, with your purpose and tapping into it, with living the life that you want to be living, keep going and don't give up, and use every opportunity that is presented on your path, whether it's fun and exciting or whether it's challenging. Like, really, really know that it's there to support you, and it is moving you into where you want to be going. It is. You're going there. Don't stop. Don't quit on yourself. It's okay to have breakdowns and all of that. But everything that's happened for me and anyone else that you see is not only possible, but is also happening for you too. And the more that we can see that we are moving in the direction we need to be moving, we are opening up to what we want, the quicker that it'll come, and the more enjoyable the journey into that new life is going to be.
Mm-hmm. 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 I like that a lot.
Just a little bit of love.
I feel like this entire conversation is just overflowing with love.
I would
a little
agree.
bit more.
It's not just overflowing
not
with
just.
love. It's overflowing with love. Let's not minimize the love.
It's pouring through.
Oh, all right. So, Katelyn, to wrap up, I want to invite you to close your eyes again.
Okay.
And take another deep breath. And feel into where you are now as you reflect on a year ago today. And from that space, share with us in one word how you're feeling.
I'm feeling grateful. Deeply grateful.
And if you could speak to yourself a year ago today, speak to her directly from the woman that you are today, what would you say to her?
Oh my goodness.
You can have as many words as you need.
That's good for me to know. I would be like, psst, it's going to be so good that your mind is going to be freaking blown. I would tell her to have so much fun. I would tell her how amazing she is, and to prepare for everything that she's ever dreamed of, and even more than that, because that's how good it's going to be. Yeah. And I would say, good job. You're doing awesome. You're doing awesome. Keep
Way to
going.
go.
You're rocking it. Yeah.
You are rocking it. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you for having me. I mean, I can't really imagine a more fun couple of people to spend an hour with, literally.
Mm-hmm.
Yay. And you get to spend a whole year with us.
I know.
In Angels of Intuition 2017. I'm so excited for the magic.
Here comes the squealing.
I'm like so excited I might like pee my pants.
Oh my gosh, we're going to have such a good time.
Yeah.
We are
I
going to be
know.
in Mexico together in March.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
so soon. By the time this comes out, that'll be like
It's
Oh
true.
my gosh.
oh,
So
boy.
excited.
Well, Katelyn, if anyone listening wants to learn more about you and the work that you do in the world and how they can work with you or how they can be in your energy in other ways, how can they find you?
Well, they can definitely find me at my website, which is KatelynEdgar.com, spelled KatelynEdgar.com. And if you're a lady friend, then you can find me. Well, I mean, anyone can find me on Facebook too, Katelyn Edgar Intuitive Coach. But I also have a really, really awesome Facebook group called Intuitive Co-Creators for the lady friends. It's a pretty magical space. Really, really beautiful people in there.
It's the best.
And there are all these fun prompts, and sometimes there are giveaways.
And sometimes we have virtual dance parties.
I loved that. I didn't participate, but I enjoyed watching everybody else.
I know. Right now, this might be inappropriate, but what I want to say is I kind of want to spank you for not doing a dance video.
That's the most appropriate.
Oh my, it is appropriate.
And on that note, we'll end the podcast.
Oh my gosh. Sally, where can people find you on the
They
internet?
can find me at Sally Simply on all social media, including Pinterest. I started pinning again. And they can find me at sallymercedes.com or unmutedexpression.com, which I'm sure will be both thriving websites by the time this airs.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to have your incubator all set up.
Yeah, it's going to be the best. I'm going to have investors. Oh, man, it's going to be the bomb.com.
Great. And I am at tylafowler.com and Tyla Fowler on all the social media. You can follow our podcast, anywhere. We go under the handle A Year Ago Podcast. So yearagopodcast.com, A Year Ago Podcast on Gmail, and, well, it's not what I meant to say, but we are on Gmail. Mm-hmm. You can send us an email.
You can.
Whatever, y'all know.
You can also follow Zena Hell, who provides our intro-outro music at ZYNAHEL on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and SoundCloud. All of the things. Right. So much connection.
All the haps.
All the haps.
All right. Well, until next time, guys.
I love you guys so much.
Love you too. And listeners, love you. Thanks for being with us. It's really been a pleasure to have your energy here with us today.
Love it. Peace out.
Bye.